Hello Algebra 1 students, section 7-4 factoring ax squared plus bx plus c. Let's recall some important information from the previous section. Guys, I advise you to pause the video and try this problem. Factor m squared minus 13m plus 36. Take your time. Yes, the correct factoring of this trinomial is choice A, m minus 4 times m minus 9. How is that? You look at the last signal. If the last signal is positive, the two signals are similar like the middle one. The middle one is negative, so negative, negative. The factoring of m squared is always m times m. Many scenarios to factor 36, but we're looking for a pair of factors. Their sum is 13. So the only pair of factors of 36 that give us a sum of 13 is 4 times 9. Now guys, when you do the outer and the inner, they give us the middle term. M times negative 9 is negative 9m, and the negative 4m, this is exactly the middle term, negative 13m. Take another question. Factor negative 24 minus 5x plus x squared. Guys, I advise you before you start factoring this trinomial is to write this trinomial in the standard form. Remember the standard form, you start with the term with the highest power. So you start with x squared, later minus 5x, and finally the constant negative 24. Now you can think about factoring this. Pause the video and think about this question. The right factoring of this trinomial is choice D, x plus 3 times x minus 8. How do I know that? This is my trinomial in the standard form. Guys, if the last signal is negative, the two signals are different. So plus minus, it has to be like that. The factoring of x squared is x times x. Many scenarios to factor 24, but we're looking for the difference of the two factors to be 5. Why the difference this time, not the sum? Because the two signals are different. So we're looking for a pair of factors, their product is equal to 24 and the difference between them is negative 5. This is exactly 8 times 3. Now when you check by foiling these two binomials, FOIL, first times first, it gives us x squared, the first term, plus 3 times negative 8, it's negative 24, the last term. When you do the outer and the inner, they give us negative 8x and plus 3x, and the sum of these two terms is negative 5x, negative 5x. This is exactly the middle term. So everything is perfect. Guys, remember in 7-3, we factored a trinomial in the form x squared plus bx plus c. So the coefficient of the first term was 1. What is the difference between 7-4 and 7-3? Only one thing. Today, you're going to start seeing a number in front of the first term. So guys, ax squared plus bx plus c. Today, our job is to factor this trinomial. What is a, b, and c? They are constants. They are numbers. For example, in part A of this example, a is 2, b is 11, and c is 12. How do we factor that? We understand that the factoring of a quadratic trinomial is the product of two binomials. So you set two parentheses and you start with the signals. If the last signal is positive, and this is our first scenario in example number 2, and you might ask yourself, what is example number 1? Example number 1 is factoring by guessing, so I jump to example number 2. The first scenario, when c is positive, when the last number is positive, plus 12 plus 8. Guys, if the last signal is positive, the two signals are similar like the middle one. The middle one is plus, so plus plus. How do we factor 2x squared? It's 2x times x. There is only one scenario to factor 2x squared, but more than one method to factor 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Which one fits my problem? You need to try. So you need to try one of them. Guys, if we take, for example, 4 times 3. If we take 4 times 3, we need to try. If it works, it's okay. If it doesn't work, we're gonna erase and start over from the beginning. 2x times x, it's 2x squared, plus 4 times plus 3, it's a 12. The first and the last terms are okay. Now our challenge is to find the product of the outer and the inner. If their sum give us the middle term, our factoring is correct. If not, you need to erase and start over. Guys, 2x times 3, it's 6x. 4 times x, it's 4x. The sum of this, it's 10x. Is your middle term 10x? Unfortunately, no, it is not 10x, it's 11x. So maybe you need to switch these two numbers. Let's try switching these two numbers. Let me erase that number and that number. Make this one 3. I'm gonna make, instead of 4 times 3, I'm gonna try 3 times 4. Maybe it works with us. Okay guys, so now guys, let's try the outer and the inner one more time. 2x times 4, it's gonna be 8x. So instead of this, it's gonna be, yep, 2x times 4, it's gonna be 8x. 3 times x, it's gonna be 3x. 8x plus 3x, it's 11x. This is exactly the middle term, so this is the right way to factor this trinomial. Another example. Again guys, it's a quadratic trinomial written in the standard form. Be sure that the trinomial is written in the standard form. If not, you need to rewrite the trinomial and put it in the standard form. How do we, let's get started with the signals. If the last signal is positive, this is our first scenario. The two signals are similar like the middle one. The middle one is negative, so it's negative, negative. Only one way to factor 5x squared. It's 5x times x. We have more than one way to factor the 8. Maybe you factor 8 times 1 or 2 times 4. I'm not sure which one is the right choice. So let me just try 2 times 4 or 4 times 2. If I put 4 right here and 2 right there and try by foiling this, 5x times x, it's 5x squared. First term is okay. Negative 4 times negative 2, it's a plus 8, the last term. And now outer and inner, we need to try the outer and the inner. 5x times negative 2, it's negative 10x. The inner, negative 4 times x, it's negative 4x. The sum of negative 10 and the negative 4 is negative 14x. This is exactly the middle term. So guys, we are lucky this time because we have found the right factoring from the first time without trying any other way of factoring it, or even without switching the two numbers. Sometimes you need to do this. So in example number 2, you learn how to factor ax squared plus bx plus c when c is positive. What happens if c is negative? There is no big difference, guys. If c is negative, the two signals are different. This is the only difference between example 2 and example 3. If the last signal is negative, the two signals are different. One positive, one minus. No matter you start with the positive or the minus. How do we factor 4x squared? Actually, there are two ways to factor 4x squared. Maybe 4x times x, or maybe 2x times 2x. I'm not sure which one is the perfect choice. So guys, we need to try one of them. So let me try 4x times x. If I put 4x right here times x, there is only one way to factor the two. To factor the two, it's 2 times 1. Now we need to FOIL these two binomials in order to make sure whether our factoring is correct or not. 4x times x, it's 4x squared. Plus 2 times negative 1, it's negative 2. So the first and the last are okay. We need to try outer and inner. The outer, 4x times negative 1, it's negative 4x. The inner, plus 2 times x, it's 2x. When you simplify negative 4x and 2x, the result is negative 2x, and unfortunately the middle term is not negative 2x. So guys, we need to try another scenario. Maybe if we switch the 1 and the 2, it works with us. So let me erase 2 times 1 and make it 1 times 2. sometimes it works. If we make it 1 times 2, let's see what is going to happen. I'm going to try the outer and the inner. 4x times negative 2, it's going to be negative 8x. So instead of this 4, you're going to have negative 8. Yes, negative 8x. Plus 1 times x, it's only 1x. 1x right here. Negative 8 plus 1, it's negative 7x. Guys, only one thing, we are very close. Our middle term is not negative 7x, it's a plus 7x. So how do I make this plus 7x? How do I make my negative 7x plus 7x? Just write this one. You only need to switch the signals. So you make this minus, you make it plus, and you make this plus, you make it minus. Now guys, if we check one more time, 4x times plus 2, it's a plus 8. Plus 8. And the negative 1 times x, it's negative 1x. Plus 8 minus 1, this is exactly plus 7x. Our middle term is plus 7x. So sometimes you need to try different scenario of factoring. Sometimes you need to switch the signals. Other times you need to switch the numbers. So by time you will get this experience, and you will try many scenarios until you reach the right factoring. Another part. We need to factor this trinomial. So let's start with the two binomials. It's a product of two binomials. If the last signal is negative, the two signs are different. One of them gonna be plus, one of them gonna be minus. 2x squared is 2x times x. Actually, there are two ways to factor the 15, 3 times 5 and 1 times 15. Let's try 3 times 5 at the beginning. Hopefully it works with us. 3 times 5, sorry guys. 3 times 5. So now let's try that. 2x, let me try the first term first. 2x times x, it's 2x squared. Plus 3 times negative 5, it's negative 15. The first and the last are okay. Now let me try the outer and the inner. 2x times negative 5, it's negative 10x. The inner, plus 3 times x, it's a plus 3x. The sum of these two terms is negative 7x, and this is exactly my middle term. So this method of factoring is the perfect way to factor this trinomial. The last example, example number 4. This is kind of a weird scenario. When a is negative, what is a? The constant in front of the x squared term. Guys, this is the first time we see the first term is negative. Guys, before you start factoring this, you need to factor out this negative sign, because the first term signal has to be positive all the time. So how do I do that? You need to take the negative sign outside, and if there is any kind of GCF, any kind of common factor, you need to factor out this before you start factoring. So I see negative 2, negative 15, negative 7, nothing in common more than the negative sign. Actually, it's negative 1, but we know that it's negative 1. So if you factor out this, the first term gonna be 2x squared. This is exactly what I need. I need the first term to be positive in order to start factoring. Plus 15x, plus 15x, plus 7. You know, guys, when you factor out negative sign, you change the signals of all terms. The negative becomes positive and the positive becomes negative if you have any. Now how can you proceed? You keep the negative sign outside and you draw the two parentheses normally and you start factoring. If the last signal is positive, the two signals are similar like the middle one, so plus plus. 2x squared is 2x times x. There is only one method to factor 7. It's 7 times 1 or 1 times 7. Guys, notice that the middle term is 15. So I need to maximize the product of the outer and the inner. If I put the 7 here, it's going to be 7x, and here 2x gives us 9x, and we need 15. So be smart and put the 7 right here and the 1 right here. Now the outer are negative 2x times 7, it's 14x, and the inner are 1x. 14x and 1x, they give us 15x. So this is the perfect factoring of this trinomial. Part B. Guys, if you notice in part B, this is not even a quadratic trinomial. This is a cubic trinomial. The first term is x cubed. So guys, if you go over the three terms, you notice that there is a GCF, there is a common factor among the variables. When you talk about the coefficients, -3, -1, and +10, nothing in common between the numbers except the negative sign. Remember guys, the first term has to be positive, so you need to factor out negative signal just like we done in part A. But there is also another common factor. X to the power 3, x to the power 2, and x to the power 1. We take x to the least power outside. So we're going to factor out negative sign and the variable x, and we get whatever inside by division. So you divide every term by the GCF to get the leftover inside. Negative over negative gonna be positive. This is what I need. 3x cubed divided by x, it's gonna be 3x squared. Negative divided by negative gonna be positive. X squared over x, it gives us x. Plus over minus gonna be minus. 10x over x simplifies 10. Guys, look at what we have right now inside the parentheses. We have a quadratic trinomial, so we can factor this normally. What about the negative x outside? You leave the negative x outside and you create two parentheses and you start factoring normally. If the last signal is negative, the two signals are different, 1 plus 1 minus. 3x squared is 3x times x. This is the only way to factor 3x squared. Two ways to factor the 10. 2 times 5 and 10 times 1. We need to try one of these two scenarios. Hopefully we get the right answer from the first time. So guys, let's try 5 times 2. 5 times 2. Now we need to check 3x times x. It's 3x squared. Plus 5 times -2. It's -10. So first and last are okay. We need to check the outer and the inner. Outer, 3x times -2, it's -6x. Inner are plus 5x plus 5x. Guys, if you add up this, -6x and the plus 5x, they give us -x. But our middle term is not -x, it's a plus x. So you only need to switch the two signals, make this negative plus and make this plus negative, and everything gonna be perfect. So now when you try the outer, they are positive. They are positive. Yeah, I need the pen. They are positive. And when you try the inner, now they are negative. 6x minus 5x, this is plus x. This is exactly my middle term. You need to practice very well. See you in next lesson. Bye.